A year ago, Swift appointed Stephen Gilderdale as its Chief Platform Officer.
Well, he's the first person to hold this role, and his team lead the innovation and design of Swift's products and services, including the application of new technologies and the evolution of standards. Well, I'm delighted to say that Stephen now joins us. Stephen, welcome to Sibos TV. And why does Swift feel it was important to create this role, Chief Platform Officer?
Well, I think that Swift has always been a platform, in fact, and we bring together the service providers, banks, market infrastructure, CSDs, payment schemes, and we matchmake them, if you like, with the consumers of those services. That's often banks, other banks, corporates, broker-dealers, etc. So that has always been our core business. And I think what we've done in the formation of a Chief Platform Officer role and having my team focusing on platform is really formalize that. And what that's enabled us to do is to look at the products and the services that we're delivering to our customers, understand whether they are appropriate and adapted for those two parties, those two stakeholders on the network, and also for us to be able to reuse the technology that we've developed in different situations. So it's improved the agility and the appropriateness, if you like, of our products and services.
That's an interesting point. Let's dive further into it. What type of platform do Swift customers need, and how are you at Swift developing that at the moment?
Well, the way we've organized ourselves is, in fact, the first one that the customers will see is the platform that they use to connect to Swift. And clearly, we're trying to make that as easy and as simple as possible, and to bring it along with technological change. So, for example, cloud connectivity, the use of APIs. We need to make sure that the platform that our customers are using allows them to consume services from Swift and from their counterparties over the Swift network in a simpler possible way as possible. Central platform is another area, and that's the services that we actually provide ourselves in terms of instant payment connectivity, messaging, financial crime compliance, GPI, which I'm sure you've been talking about a lot this week. So we have a team that is focused around all of our central platform components as well. But there's probably another area which is less visible to our customers, at least from a day-to-day perspective, and this is around data platform. So we make sure that we have people that are focused on how we use data both internally to improve our products and services, but also how we can use the data that comes from our products or comes from the financial transactions themselves, obviously in a very kind of safe and secure way, to provide better commercial products. So we have a data platform team as well.
Now, earlier in that answer, you did mention APIs, and of course they are the way that business is being done these days. But how is Swift helping banks to respond to the opportunities and indeed the challenges posed by adopting APIs?
Well, I would argue that financial services is a little bit late to the party when it comes to APIs, although they have been, banks in particular have been pushed to open up current account access through open banking regulation in various parts of the world. But this push from regulation has actually led to kind of fast adoption, and fast adoption inevitably has led to some fragmentation in the way that APIs have been implemented. That's both in the contents that you can get through the API, but also the technical method that they've been implemented in as well. One of the main challenges around APIs is also identity and security. So how do I know who is asking for access to that current account information? So actually, these two things are areas which Swift has traditionally dealt with. They've dealt with it and we have dealt with it in a different world, in the messaging world, but we can do the same for APIs as well. So we're really looking at how can we help with standardization or harmonization of API implementations, and we're doing that using our standards capability, and also how can we bring the identity that exists today on the Swift network, which is used to identify, is this bank really the bank I think I'm talking to, and bring that to the API world as well. I would say the final point is that Swift is an industry utility. We're a cooperative owned by the banks. So we can also bring economies of scale to this, which of course reduces the cost of having to implement API-based access to services. So the three things come together really: standardization, identity, and economies of scale.
And just broadening things out a bit, because you were talking there about the API standards, but in Australia, you've also created a sandbox for APIs. Why did you choose Australia as the hub, if you like, for this particular programme?
Well, that's absolutely right. I mean, we announced very recently that we are providing an API sandbox for the new payments platform together with MPP. It was really a natural choice to do that. Obviously, we have been involved in and facilitated the deployment of the connectivity for a new payments platform and the clearing mechanism. We've got a great partnership with MPP here in Australia and with the banks as well. Opening up access to payment systems is great for innovation, and this is what MPP want to do. We're very happy to be able to help with that, and APIs is the technology which powers open access. So MPP is indeed one of the first examples where we've deployed a sandbox. But we've got many others cooking around the world. We have deployed a developer portal very recently, actually in the last couple of weeks, which comes with all the documentation that a developer needs to be able to start building against the service, and the sandbox to be able to test against it in a very kind of conventional and standard way, so that they can get started straight away. So we're pretty excited where it will go in Australia, but also beyond.
It is exciting times. Stephen, we mentioned cybersecurity earlier, which is obviously very prominent on the Sibos agenda. Do you think that the industry will manage these cyber threats and, in a way, outwit the cyber criminals?
I think that kind of implies that there's an end state to this game, and I don't think there is. I think that it's clear that cyber threat is constantly evolving. That means that the bad guys are finding new ways to try and compromise systems, to cause disruption or to steal money. But what I do see is a great response from the financial industry. And when we launched the customer security program back in 2016, there was really a view around cybersecurity, which was around protecting your own four walls. If I protect my institution, then that's good enough, and I'm going to be okay. I think it's been proven in recent years that's not sufficient. You need to understand whether other banks, institutions, counterparties that you're doing business with are also safe. Are they instructing, or are there malicious actors instructing as if they're coming from that bank and asking you to pay out money? So I think the ecosystem approach to security is one that we've really taken on board, but will become more prevalent as we move forward as well. And that will be, in my view, essential. Together with not just thinking about protection. It's important to, yes, of course, protect against a cyber intrusion or a compromise. It's also very important to detect when that's happened. And then when you do detect it, to respond very quickly. So those three things together need to be thought about by financial institutions.
So look, Stephen, we have to leave it there, but enjoy Sibos. Plenty of good things happening.
Absolutely.
Thank you.